Welcome. So today we're going to do Parshas Shemini, but before we start, I think it's only right that we should talk a little bit about the petirah of the undisputed Gadol Hador, Rav Chaim Kanievsky. So, when he was nifta, he was a very old man, and I felt a great sense of loss when he was nifta, when I heard about it on Friday. And it's not like he was taken from us when he was in his 60s or 70s. That would be kind of a gzeira, the Rabban Shalom tore him away from us. I don't think there was a special gzeira here. I think that he gave us the schus of having him for so many years, and now, the time came and he was nifta. But there's a very big sense of loss, I felt, and I know most of the people I spoke to, or everybody, also felt that sense of loss. I'm trying to understand more so than other people that were nifta, other gedolim. I feel a greater sense of loss over here, and I'm trying to understand what it is. There were about 1 million people came to his levaya. 1 million people came. What was it? Was it because, he wrote many wonderful svarim, and I've looked into some of them, but a very tiny minority of the people that came to that levaya ever looked at his svarim, or even knew that they knew he had svarim, but knew the names of the svarim and what they're about. Very few people. So that's not what it's about. That's not why they came. Because he gave brachas, the buha, and people came, and I don't think so. I think that there were, people knew about this, but, most people didn't come for a bracha, and they just, what was it exactly? That he knew Kol HaTorah Kula. Okay, so he knew Kol HaTorah Kula. It was marvelous. He got a gift from the Rabbi Shalom, and he sat his whole life and he learned, and he knew Kol HaTorah Kula. So is that why 1 million people would come to his levaya? What is that connection that they felt? Why did they all feel that they lost him? Like, what did they lose? What exactly was it? I was trying to understand it. And then it occurred to me that Rav Chaim he wasn't a Rosh Yeshiva, he wasn't a Rav, he didn't have a position, he wasn't involved in anything, he was just Torah. It was pure. He was Kulei Torah, and he was to us the embodiment of the Torah in its total mesikas. The Torah, which is brilliant and beautiful and warm and caring and loving and a sense of humor. And just normal. This is the Torah. He was the embodiment of the Torah among us. In our dor, we were zoiche to have, it's like having the Shechina among us. It's more than just a gadol or a big gadol, or we had the embodiment of the Torah among us, and we loved it, and we felt very connected to it. And now that he left, so it's not here anymore. And there's nobody else is going to replace it. I don't know, but in my lifetime, I've never seen this, except for him. I've heard of and seen many great gedolim, but what he represented, that he was just the pure embodiment of the Torah without anything involved with it. No, just the pure Torah. And how beautiful it was, and how loving, and everybody admired it, and felt connected to it, and felt warmed by it. I've never seen this. Rav Matzio once told me that when the Chazon Ish was nifta, so the Briskerov said, it's not just that a very big gadol was nifta. He said, before there was a world with the Chazon Ish, and now there's a world without the Chazon Ish. The world has changed. And that's how I feel over here. That before there was a world with Reb Chaim, and what he represented. Before, the Shechina was among us in a certain sense. I mean, not but the Torah and that idea was among us, and now it's not, and the world has changed. And somehow, the world feels emptier than it did before. That's why I want to say, Yizrach Baruch, he was an incredible person, and it was our schus to live in the same world as he did. Even if we didn't go for brachas and didn't learn his svarim, but we just knew that the living Torah is in Bnei Brak. And it's there. Getting to Shemini. So Shemini says like this. You're talking about tragedies. So Nadav Avihu died, and Aharon, it says Vayemer Moshe Aharon. Hu Diber Hashem Leimar B'Kroivei HaKadosh V'al Pnei Kol Mechabed. So he says that he thought. Rashi says, Moshe said, I thought that the Beis Hashem would be miskadesh through me and you. Now it was miskadesh through them. Apparently, they are bigger than us. Anyway, the pasuk says, "Vayidam Aharon." Aharon was silent. So, what was he silent about? He was silent. I mean, his sons died. His two biggest sons died. So he was silent. He didn't complain. But the Gemara in Zvachim says a very interesting thing. And it follows really the Seder of the Psukim. Moshe said to Kim Shemesu b'nei Aharon, Amalei, Moshe said, Aharon Achi, Lemesu b'nacha lahagdish Moshe HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Your sons died to make a Kiddush Hashem, to show the Kedushas HaMakom. Kivin sheyoda Aharon shebona v'duyim makom heim. As soon as Aharon heard that his sons were close to the Rebbeinu Shleilim, shosak v'kibul schar. It says Vayidam Aharon. I would think that the Vayidam Aharon applies to Kivin sheshoma that bona of Mesu shosak v'kibul schar. But when Moshe is giving him a Tanchumim and he's telling him that they were Mekadesh Shem Shemayim and the Yidui HaMakom, as soon as he heard Moshe say that they Yidui HaMakom, shosak v'kibul schar. What's the connection? When he gave him Tanchumim, that's why he was shosak v'kibul schar. He was shosak, he didn't complain about the death of his sons. What is this Gemara saying? So I think Gemara is saying like this. Aharon was the Managador before Moshe came down. He was the Manag in Mitzrayim, and through all the Shibudim and the Tzoras, and on his watch, thousands of people died, children were pasted into walls, terrible things happened, and he was an Erlich Yid. Did he think to complain to the Rebbeinu Shalom? Did he have an Nisayan to complain to the Rebbeinu Shalom? He understood it's a Gzeira, it's a fulfillment of a Nevuah. He understood it. Not that it was not pleasant, it was tragic, but he understood. He didn't have an urge. He didn't feel a Yetzer Hara that he should complain to the Rebbeinu Shalom. This is the Gzeira, this is what's happening. Yimakabel, Gzeira Yimakabel. But when Moshe Rabbeinu told him that he should know, Bonav Yidui HaMakom, so he says, oh, you're telling me it was a covet for me? Then he had the inclination to say, as I covered dafach nicht, we meichel them covered. That's what he could have reacted and said, if you're telling me it's a gzeira, okay, I'm a kabbalah gzeira, I'm not going to complain. I've lived through many, many gzeiras. I'm not, just because my children, what's the difference? Somebody else's children is okay, my children is not okay. A gzeira is a gzeira, I'm a kabbalah. You're telling me it was a gzeira, they should die? Fine. I mean, you don't make me react in a way that I shouldn't. It's a gzeira, fine. You're telling me that it's a big covet for me. The immediate inclination is a covet. Who needs such a covet? Tumish kantoivis. But he didn't. He repressed it, and he was shaisik. And that's the Vayidamar, and that's the schar that he got. That he was shaisik, in Mitzrayim, he didn't get special schar for that. But he was shaisik when his own children died, and he heard that this was the covet for him. No. That's where he had the nisayon, and that's where he was shaisik. That's what the Gemara is saying. Now, what was the schar that he was makabel? So Rashi, Vayidamar kibul schar al shtikosoi, umas schar kibul. What was the schar that was makabel? Shenisyachid imaya dibur, that the Rebbeinu Shalom spoke to him alone. Shenemer loy levadoi Parshas Shesui. Next, after this is the Parsha of Shesui, and it says, Vadaber Shem el Aharon leimar Yayin v'shecher al teish. So he said it to him alone. So what does this mean? To him alone. So the Sifsei Chachamim says to him alone and not to Moshe also. So that's what bothered him. That was the schar that he got. I'm going to give you a schar that I'm going to talk to you alone. Moshe will not be there. No, I want myself. Me. I mean, what is this? Why would he have a problem with Moshe being there? What is this? This Yachdi Mayadibur, not Moshe. What does this mean? Now, also, the Gemara says in Tainis like this. The Gemara says, like this. Interesting Gemara. It says, Sadik Hatomi Yifrach, Keres Balvani Yizke. In them it says it's compared to Tamar, which is date palm, and to Erez, which is cedar. So Imna Tamar, if the pasuk says compares him to a Tamar, Lamanem Erez. Why does it say? Why are you comparing him to this? To cedar? V'nem Erez, Lamanem Tamar. Why do you need both? So Gemara says like this: Ilu nemer Tamar v'lenemer Erez. If it only said Tamar, Hayisi Yomer, I would say, Ma Tamar en Gizay Machlif. Av tzadik chas v'sholem en gizeh machlef. If you take a palm tree and you cut it off, it does not grow back. So just like you're comparing a tzaddik to a tamar, just like a tzaddik when you cut it, just like a tamar when you cut it off, it doesn't grow back. A tzaddik when you cut it off, he doesn't grow back. That's what I would think the pasuk is saying. What does it mean that it doesn't grow back? Av tzaddik. Rashi says, the tzaddik doesn't come back to Chiyas HaMesim. So if it only said Tamar, I would say tzaddik Tamar Yifrach, and the tzaddik is not coming back to Chiyas HaMesim. What? What's this? Why does the tzaddik come back to Chiyas HaMesim? Then the other way. Ilu Nemar Erez, if it said Erez, V'loi Nemar Tamar, it just said Erez, cedar. A cedar is Gizah Machlef. It does grow back. So why didn't you just say Erez? Cedar does grow back. So he does get the Tchias HaMesim. I would say no. Maybe Ma Erez Einoi Seperes, Av Tzadik Einoi Seperes. I would say just like a cedar doesn't have any fruit, the Tzadik also doesn't produce any fruit. What does this mean? Rashi says that he doesn't get schar. A tzaddik doesn't get schar. So you're comparing to a tamar and to an erez. Tell to a tamar to tell you that he gets schar. Erez, I would say he doesn't get schar. Comparing to an erez to tell you that he goes to Tchias HaMesim, but if I only said tamar, I would say he doesn't go to Tchias HaMesim. What's the pshat in this? Why would a tzaddik not go to Tchias HaMesim and not get schar? Why? So first of all, Tchias HaMesim is more understandable, because Tchias HaMesim you come back gashmias, you come back as a physical body. Why would a person want to come back as a physical body? Why? I mean, you're in Gan Eden, you're Nena Beziva Shchina, why would you want to come back? I don't know about Tchias HaMesim, if you can do more mitzvahs, learn more Torah, I don't know. But Tchias HaMesim is something that people need Tchias HaMesim. the promise of Tchiyas HaMeisim is for people that you lost a father, you lost a mother, you lost a wife, a child. So you're going to come Tchiyas HaMeisim and you're going to be reunited with the one that you lost. So Tchiyas HaMeisim is a nechama. That's what Tchiyas HaMeisim is. But it's not really something that's preferable to Gan Eden. Gan Eden is neshamas. You want to be reunited with your people in the flesh. So the Rebbe Shalom gave a matana of Tchiyas HaMeisim, so we're reunited. But a tzaddik, what does he need this for? So a tzaddik is maybe Taka doesn't get Tchiyas HaMeisim. But l'maisa, he does get Tchiyas HaMeisim. Why? Because if you don't get Tchiyas HaMeisim, then people are not going to believe in Tchiyas HaMeisim. So the tzaddik is forced to come back to Tchiyas HaMeisim. What's with schar? Schar is a person, this says the mission of it, you're not supposed to be kavodim hamishamshim es rabam almanas l'kabel schar. Schar takes away from your lishma, and even so, when you're doing something, you're supposed to do it lishma, for Shem, just for the zatzal, for the Torah alone, for the avodah alone, not because you're going to be rewarded, but you'll be rewarded. But you're not supposed to do it for that. And Rabbi Yaakov has another gersa, almanas shaloi lekabel schar. Not that you're not doing it almanas lekabel schar. You have to do it and say, I reject the schar, I don't want the schar. Why? Because if you're doing it lishma, not for the schar, but l'maisa, you're going to get schar. You know it. And therefore, it takes away a little bit from your lishma. It does. I know I'm doing it l'shem shemayim, shem shemayim, but in the back of my mind, I know I'm going to get schar. So it takes away from the schar. So the gears is, I'm not shalei l'kabel schar. I'm doing it and I don't want the schar. Do not give me the schar. Even that could be but l'maisa, you're going to get it. But how much can you do? But that's what you're supposed to do. Schar is something that is for a person who's truly an Oved Hashem and completely lishma. Schar is not a good thing. He doesn't need it. He doesn't think about himself. It's not about him. It's about the Rebbeinu Shalom, and he doesn't want schar. Schar is what you need for people, because like the Gobayses went off. They thought there's no schar. No schar. Who needs it? So people need schar. But a true tzaddik doesn't need schar. So that's the pshat in this Gemara. That I would think that maybe a tzaddik doesn't get schar, he doesn't want it, he doesn't get schar. No, he has to have schar. Why? For the people, the tzaddik has to get schar like everybody else. Otherwise it's going to undermine the people's beliefs and loyalty to the Torah. So that's what this Gemara says. So first of all, you see from this Gemara and from the Mishnah in Avos that schar is not, why. So Aharon is mekabel schar. Why was he mekabel schar? He rewarded Aharon by giving him schar. He rewarded Aharon by giving something that he doesn't want. You're giving him schar. He's on mashalei mekabel schar. He doesn't want to have schar. I mean, he's on the high madregas. So what are you telling him? Because you were shaisik, I'm going to give you schar. A tzaddik doesn't get schar. That's one question. And the other question is that schar mitzvah by al meleka. Schar means no'el mabah. Why is he giving him schar no'el mazeh? Schar mitzvah by al meleka. So what I'd like to say is this: that we spoke in Vayikra that when it says Vaydaber Shem al Moshe v'Aaron, that he spoke to Moshe to say to Aharon. That means Aharon was getting a nevuah, but Moshe was the malach who was giving it to Aharon. Now, Aharon got nevuah many times directly, but sometimes he got it, he was together with Moshe, and Moshe if Moshe wasn't together with him, then according to the Rambam, he got it from a different malach. He got it from Gabriel. All nevuahs come through a malach. Now, the Gemara says at the end of Tainas, Ad shekolu meisei hamidbar lo yaya dibur in Moshe. The Rebbe didn't speak to Moshe. So Rashi says, B'yichud v'chiba tichsiv v'daber Shem Elai lemer and Elai nisyachad adibur. The dibur was nisyachad with Moshe. The word nisyachad. But before that, it was not peh al peh. it was only b'chez yayin. In other words, during the whole time with the Meis Hamidbar, the Bnei Shalom did speak to Moshe, but only through a chez yayin like other neviim. Nesiach d'maya dibur means peh peh. That's what you see from this Rashi over here. Daf Lamed with Beis and Tainis. So when it's what was his matana? What was his char? It was Nesiach d'maya dibur. Nesiach, that's the lashon. Nesiach d'maya dibur. Rashi, and that's what Rashi says, and the Gemara, and Rashi in the end of Tainis we see that the taisha of Nesiach d'maya dibur means peh peh. So that's what he means. It was not with Moshe. Always he got his nevuah from a malach, a different malach from Moshe. This nevuah came to him directly with no malach. It was peh el peh. That was the what the siach me'adibur, that Aharon got this time, this one time. He was a siach me'adibur peh el peh. And why? Why did he do this? Not to give him schar, but because he was shoisik, vayidam Aharon, and he did not complain to Rabban Shloim. The Rambam says in Chela Gimel Perek Nun Aleph of the Meira that a person, the closer you are to Rabban Shloim, the more shmira you have, and the less you are affected by the world around you. So when the Rabban Shloim gave Aharon the schus of speaking to him peh peh, which brought him to a level of Yediyas Hashem that he had never had before and probably would never have again. But when he came to such a high level of Yediyas Hashem, then he was completely dispassionate from himself, and his grief went away. Because grief and sorrow is a personal thing. A person who is completely selfless, completely given over to Rabban Shalom has no grief. So the Rabban Shalom did, because he was shaisik, the Rabban Shalom took away his grief. How did he take his grief? By speaking to him peh el peh, nesiach d'maya dibur. He brought him to a level of his karvas to Rabban Shalom that he never had before, and at that level he was fine. He was fine. Vayida means he suppressed what he felt. He was inside, he was crying inside. He suppressed it. Vayida means he suppressed it. He wasn't silent because he didn't feel like saying anything. He did, but he suppressed it. And the Rebbe Shalom said, because he suppressed it, I will take away your grief. I will bring you closer to me than you have ever been. And when you're that close, there is no place for grief. Grief dissipates completely. It's completely about Hashem. It's not about you. And he relieved his pain. Thank you very much, and I hope to see you again next week.